Evening and welcome to the Marine Conservation Society's annual general meeting for 2023. Thank you all for joining us. We're all very excited that you're all here with us. My name is Mark. I am the Vice Chair of the board, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this evening's proceedings. The programme tonight covers all the essential business and governance of the charity, as well as opportunities, of course, to celebrate, to educate and congratulate so many people who have done so much, not only this year, but over the years. It's a big year, 2023, for the team at the Marine Conservation Society. And tonight we'll reflect on our remarkable journey, highlighting achievements and the significant strides made in marine conservation over the years. But also, we're going to explore our vision for the future, including not only our ambitious 2030 targets, but also to demonstrate our commitment to empowering the next generation of ocean conservationists. Now, of course, this event is online. Fabulous to have you all here. And so we can be very interactive. We need your involvement throughout. First, through a Q&A function that if you look at the bottom of your screen, that you'll see, and you can send us questions throughout the evening, and there'll be particular moments when we will give you the answers that you need, and some will be able to answer verbally, some will certainly be able to send you answers to later on. So get ready to send some questions as you see the content coming in. But also, there is this wonderful little emoji button that you can see, again, at the bottom of your screen. So it's your opportunity to send us your emotions throughout the evening. And so I'm going to invite you all now to exercise your emoji muscles, find that button and send us through all the hearts, the streamers, the different emotions that you can find. Let's see the screen light up. There we are, lots and lots of hearts and thumbs up and everything else coming through. Fabulous. Look at that. You're wonderful. So that's what we want to see throughout the evening. So let's be very active with our emojis. Another point to note, there are captions that you will see throughout the evening. You can turn them on or off via the captions button at the bottom. The evening is being recorded also, and the captions will be there too. There might be a couple of seconds behind. There might be a couple of spelling mistakes. Forgive us, bear with us, but I'm sure you'll understand as we go through. But now on to this evening's business. In just a few minutes, I'm going to make some introductions. We're going to have a look back on previous years with Amanda, the chair of our board, but also then look forward to the future with Sandy, our chief executive officer. But just before that, we are thrilled to present a short but fabulous video created by the team that shows the impact that the Marine Conservation Society has had just this year. So let's roll that video.
Good evening. I'm Amanda Nods, and it's my absolute privilege to be the chair of the Marine Conservation Society. Now, I want you to keep those party poppers coming, because tonight we are celebrating 40 years of the Marine Conservation Society. And in those 40 years, we have come such a long way, and none of what we've achieved would have been possible without you, our volunteers, our supporters, and our members. We just can't thank you enough. Our work started in 1978 when a group of ocean lovers, perhaps you were one of them, came together to mark the first underwater conservation year, highlighting the need to do something about the worsening state of our seas. By 1983, we became the charity we are today, addressing the threats facing our ocean and promoting connection to our coastline. Now, clean seas were a priority from the start. For 20 years, the Good Beach Guide was a go-to resource, providing advice to beachgoers on water quality. I used it with my family. And in fact, it has a very moving origin. In 1987, the Wakefield family gave us a golden list of clean bathing beaches. They'd been driven to produce this following the tragic death of their daughter. And although much progress has been made, we stepped up our action on sewage pollution again this year, taking a stand in the High Court against the lax approach to discharges into our ocean, and we've achieved a real breakthrough. In recent years, attention has turned to the effects of pollution you can't see, caused by forever chemicals. We're determined to see their non-essential use phased out. Another key feature of the Marine Conservation Society from the outset has been our approach to working with people. For 35 years, our amazing sea search volunteers have been exploring and recording the abundance of life in our ocean, providing invaluable data on the species and habitats around our shores. And a special welcome if you're a sea search diver here tonight. This project helped to create 30 marine protected areas, including the largest in Europe. The way we work with coastal communities across the UK and in the overseas territories to achieve well-supported marine protection measures continues to attract attention. In the Turks and Caicos Islands, turtle conservation has significantly improved, with local partners, including the island's government, supporting monitoring and better enforcement because of our team's work with the local community. This is helping to safeguard turtles and their habitats. Closer to home on the Sussex coast, once the home of vast biodiverse kelp forest, our work with the local community supported the successful implementation of near-shore trawling bylaw. This is allowing real progress in the restoration of kelp to Sussex seas. And in 2009, we launched our education programme, connecting students across the country with our ocean. This programme has gone from strength to strength, with our Scottish Education Roadshow engaging with thousands of young people last year. 20 years ago, we set up our thriving National Jellyfish Survey. You may have seen us in the news recently, which is improving understanding of the state of the ocean and encouraging connection with marine life. Some influential relationships have been an important part of our story, driving real change. Our partnership with M&S supported our beach cleaning work through charging for single-use plastic bags. Do you remember the early days? This financial support meant our volunteers could gather all-important data, which ultimately led to UK-wide charges on single-use plastic bags. Since 2002, our Good Fish Guide, launched at first as a book and then online, has been supporting businesses and individuals to make ocean-friendly seafood choices. Our supermarket survey, launched in 2006, ranked retailers based on how sustainable their own brand seafood was. This put pressure on retailers to rewrite their sourcing policies, and the legacy remains today. This year, a significant initiative has been our event with lawyers Simmons & Simmons to engage with many businesses on ocean finance. We're encouraging new thinking on investment that supports a healthy ocean as opposed to harmful exploitation. Finally, an ever more important theme is restoring the health of our ocean. Thanks to our evidence and our determination, we're making progress in getting meaningful protection for marine protected areas, such as Dogger Bank. Nature can return when damage stops. In the past few years, we've been getting more involved in developing active restoration projects. Our Dornoch Firth project, which has reintroduced 50,000 native oysters, is the longest running. In Wales, we're leading work on the recovery of fragile species such as the pink sea fan. So 40 years strong, we have just got no midlife crisis here. Our ocean needs us more than ever. We need to work at pace and at scale to tackle the nature, climate, and ocean emergency. So whether you've been with us from the start or joined us this year, thank you so much for making our achievements and all our ambitions possible. So I'd now like to hand over to Sandy, our Chief Executive, to share our exciting plans for the future. And we hope you'll join us in achieving this vision. Hi, Sandy. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Amanda. And of course, the question now is, what are the next 40 years going to look like? And our biggest wish at the Marine Conservation Society is obviously that we won't be needed anymore in 40 years' time, or we'll simply be there to help people learn and appreciate all about the amazing marine wildlife that's out there, and learn more about that. In the meantime, though, of course, there is a lot to do to make the difference that we really need to make by 2030 so that there's a real shift of the dial. And what does that look like? So first of all, we are going to be focusing on water quality. Water quality is fundamental to ocean health. If the ocean is polluted, all other measures to protect it fail. In 2021, over 1,000 storm overflows were discharging untreated sewage into the sea within 1 kilometre of a marine protected area in England. And that was for an equivalent of over 30 years overall in that 1 year. And we know that over half of seagrass restoration projects fail, and poor water quality contributes to this. So we need to tackle sewage pollution, and we will be focusing on how sewage pollution is affecting coastal communities and marine protected areas, and we're going to push for solutions to address that, including through infrastructure repairs and renewal, nature-based solutions, new approaches to sustainable finance and investment, like Amanda's already said, and do that with the help of citizen, community and company action. And as Amanda's already also said, we also need to tackle chemical pollution. So we're going to continue to campaign for a ban of forever chemicals where there aren't any clear alternatives. And if necessary, we will take legal action again to push for quicker progress. Now, the second big area of focus is that climate, nature, and ocean emergencies, they're all connected, and we need to tackle them together, and we can do that through restoration and recovery projects. And we're already working on a suite of marine species recovery and community engagement projects across the UK. Amanda's already mentioned our work in Wales on Natura and Byth. We're involved in that project on oyster and seagrass recovery and water quality. In Scotland, our oyster restoration project in the Dornoch Firth with Glenmorangie and Heriot Watt. And also, one of the best outcomes is that one of our partnership seagrass restoration projects on the south coast at Corsand has shown a 212% increase in seagrass recovery rate in 4 years. So it's really, really worth doing this. And we will build on that. And we will work with coastal communities and our partners to help seagrass and native oysters and other key species and habitats recover around the UK to help tackle the climate and the nature crises. And the third area that we're really going to focus on is to connect communities and people to the sea and really engage them in our work. That is an absolutely fundamental step to ensure that we take action to value and to restore and to protect our ocean. And our Youth Ocean Network, which you will hear more about later, and our Scottish Education Roadshow, they've been really successful in engaging over 100,000 school children and also thousands of young people, and will expand and scale up those approaches to engage with more young people to propel ocean action. And we will continue to focus and use citizen science projects to really help make our case and to involve more and more of our passionate volunteers, for example, in beach cleans or wildlife sightings or our Sea Search Dive program. And we'll also continue to build our community of individual and company members and supporters to speed up that change that we need, including by improving the supporter experience for all of you. And we're developing our digital offering in that area, creating exciting new ways to take part and making it possible for people wherever they are to get involved. So those are our priorities for the next years ahead, and they provide a great roadmap to help our seas to recover. And as Amanda's already said, we absolutely couldn't have achieved what we have to date without your support, or plan to achieve what we need to by 2030 without your support. And we really hope that you're going to continue to join us and encourage others to join us in working to achieve those important goals. Mark, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sandy. Fantastic outline from both Amanda and Sandy. What has been done, such volume, such impact, and such scale of those involved, and such broad stretches of the community, of the citizenry around the UK that have benefited and been involved in this over the last 40 years, and some really ambitious things coming up. Thank you so much, Sandy and Amanda. Really fantastic outline. I'm now going to invite Susan Ronaldson, who is our treasurer, to join. How are you, Susan?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, really good. And it was just, really inspiring listening to Sandy and Amanda talk about the amazing achievements like over the last 40 years, let alone the last year. So.
Now, listen, just before I hand it over to you, I just want to check. I, at the very beginning, told those who had joined, and some may have joined after, about the Q&A function, if they wanted to ask questions. Certainly, what Sandy and Amanda have said might have stimulated some questions that you'd like us to dive into. And Susan too might you might have some questions there. If you look at the bottom, the Q&A function, click on that, send us some questions. We will answer them verbally if we can in the following Q&A session, or in writing in the function, or afterwards. So please get those questions coming in. Round of applause for Sandy and Amanda. And Susan, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, as Mark says, I'm Susan Ronson, and I'm both a trustee and treasurer of the Marine Conservation Society. And this evening, I just wanted to set out briefly the financial results of the MCS for 22-23, and say a little bit about how we raised and spent funds during the year. Now, there has never been a greater need to protect our ocean, and as a board, we're ambitious to grow the charity and the important work we do. We have, however, needed to ensure that we balance this ambition with robust financial management to help us navigate through the choppy waters of the pandemic and the following difficult economic conditions we've experienced. Our priority at the beginning of 22-23 was to expand our conservation programmes, funded through growth in income and the application of reserve funds that we'd accumulated due to restrictions on activities through the pandemic. We did this successfully with a 7% growth in income and our highest ever level of expenditure at 5.57 million, with 4.6 million of that expenditure on conservation programmes and 0.97 million on raising income. Overall, this approach led to a planned loss of 900,000, utilising all the 400,000 accumulated in our general fund, and also a net decrease of 385,000 in restricted funds. So those are the funds given by donors for specific projects, as we were able to complete some multi-year programmes that we had paused during the pandemic. This left the charity at the end of the year with 1.1 million of contingency reserves, and that's back within our policy of having 3 to 4 times a month's operating expenditure in reserve. As I said, we had income rose by 7% last year, and this was despite the cost of living crisis and difficult economic conditions, which particularly impacted on donations from individuals. Our income comes from a broad range of sources, and that includes 2.9 million from trust grants and corporate donations, which grew 22%, 640,000 from our fantastic members, and thank you so much for your continued support, which is so important to us. 615,000 from royalties, sponsorship and sales, which was a 30% increase on the prior year, and 178,000 from beach cleans. The remaining funds were made up of legacies and individual donations at 386,000, but that was 46% decrease when compared with the prior year. So what did we spend this money on? Well, the income was applied to important work across our conservation programmes, and we were able to spend 18% more than the year before on charitable activities at 4.6 million. The 970,000 on raising funds and administration fees represented 21% of our total income raised. And we managed to achieve that for every £1 spent on fundraising, we raised £4.82. So that funding has supported a 31% increase in our expenditure on programmes for a better protected ocean and One Ocean for Everyone, and 1.6 million and at 1.6 million and 900k respectively. Money was invested to expand our sea protection in England, on restoring native oysters in Scotland, ongoing advocacy for better fishery management within the UK offshore marine protected areas, and our continuing work on protecting and enhancing ocean health in the Caribbean, UK overseas territories. Our education and engagement work promoted access and increased our reach and impact through projects such as the Blue Recovery Project, World Ocean Day, Youth Ocean Network, Ocean Friendly School Awards, and our Agents of Change programmes. Around 1.1 million was spent on projects supporting a cleaner ocean, and a further million on those aiming for a healthier ocean. This funding supported consultation projects to introduce a ban on a wide range of single-use plastic items, the legal case on untreated sewage being dumped in our rivers and seas, and our work on legislative action on microfibers. We've also transformed the Good Fish Guide with the objective of influencing consumers and companies to make more sustainable seafood sourcing and buying choices. And we continue our work with partners to promote sustainable fishing and seafood to minimise harm, calling for fish stocks to be sustainable at sustainable levels by 2030. Going forward, the trustees have set a balanced budget for our unrestricted funds for 23-24. We are currently in the process of reviewing our 3-year financial forecast so that we have a longer-term, multi-year approach which will help maintain financial resilience, and most importantly, that will ensure we maximise our impact to bring about a cleaner, better protected and healthier ocean for everyone. Thank you. Mark, it's back over to you.
Susan, thank you so much. A really clear outline and frankly a positive one, considering the issues everybody, not only in the UK but countries and people and organizations around the world are facing at the moment. So I think it demonstrates the sort of the impact that we've had, the need that we've had, but also how you're managing the organization. You've been a trustee since 2018, almost well, exactly as long as me. In fact,
same as you, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What I'm going to put you on the spot with a question on that, if you don't mind. So what's been most satisfying for you, taking in mind the cost of living, balanced with the urgency that the marine environment is facing in its threats? What stood out for you as something that you've been really pleased to see in how we've managed our finances?
So I think it's the way that we've been able to manage to grow the organisation. As we've talked about, there is just so many important things for this organisation to do, and it's such an important cause. And to still be able to grow the charity and have more impact during such a challenging few years that we've had has been, really, really fantastic. And to see the work of the charity, whether it's hearing about our turtle programs in the Caribbean, or learning more about seagrass and just how incredible that is. It's just constantly inspiring to be part of this organisation.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for that. And again, thank you to Sandy and Amanda. I'm now going to invite members of the exec team and the board into our Q&A. So we're now going to see a whole cohort of MCS executives and trustees join us in a live Q&A. We've been receiving questions prior to the event as well as today. So we've got all these wonderful people. I hope you can see their titles. If you can't see their titles plainly on the screen, if you roll your mouse over it, you can see it, which is what I have to do to see their names. But I know everybody, of course, and I'm looking forward to giving them all these the wonderful questions that we've sent in. So I'm going to start, and I get the wonderful opportunity to choose these. I'm actually going to start with one that has come in from so the first one I'm going to come in with questions sent in before. So I think they get priority. They were first in the queue, if you like. And I think I'm going to give this one to Gareth. Gareth, somebody asked, of all the multiple issues that the oceans are facing, the threats that they're facing, it's difficult to prioritize. But for you, what stands out as one of the most present and clear and present threats that the ocean faces at the moment?
Thanks, Mark. I don't think it'll surprise anyone. The biggest threat the ocean faces is still climate change. It's driving acidification, and that's causing massive changes to our ecosystem. So we really need to tackle that. I mean, just to flag some of the things we are doing, we're looking to deliver nature-friendly, decarbonised energy. We are restoring habitats. We're giving improved management of our seas, removing damaging activities from anchoring and pollution. And essentially, this means that nature, when it's restored, can help us reach net zero. We hear a lot about that. But essentially, what that means is nature can help lock carbon away. It's been doing this for millennia, but right now it's facing an unprecedented level of carbon emissions. So we need to give it the space, the time, and that opportunity to recover to help us and help address climate change.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Do continue to use your emojis if you appreciate the answers that you get. I know Gareth deserves them anyway. Okay, on to the next question. This one I think I'm going to direct to Sandy. Sandy Cath has asked, given the importance of water quality and its dependency on proper legislation, regulation, enforcement, how can we get this issue to the forefront of a likely imminent general election that's coming? She appreciates that MCS is a charity and as such cannot be political, but what can we as individuals do to push the agenda or push the issue up the political agenda?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and also really true that as a charity, we have to not be party political. And in a pre-election year in particular, we have to be really careful. That doesn't mean, though, that we can't do anything and that you can't do anything. So one of the things that we're doing a lot at the moment is that we have got a manifesto for our seas that really sets out our clear priorities that we want a future ocean-friendly government to comply with and abide by. And on that, surge pollution is absolutely central. So we are asking all the parties to really focus in on surge pollution and chemical pollution, to address that as and when and if they should be in government. And what you can also do, though, still all of you, is write to your MPs if you are upset by this issue and continue to push for it. That's something you can always do. Go to the surgeries, go to your MPs, do that. And we've still and send pictures and provide evidence, show that this is happening, and really push that issue. As soon as we are able to influence legal development again, and the development of laws and the implementation of laws, then we will continue to do that also, of course. So we're going to continue to push for better legislation and frameworks and implementation and enforcement as and when we can, when we're not bound by pre-election rules.
Amazing. Thank you, Sandy. I'm going to supplement that question because it's about what you can do as members. Somebody asked particularly as members, not just helping the issue, but what else can members do, particularly to help the organization? Many people volunteer, they give their time, they raise money. Is there anything particularly coming in the next 12 months that you think would be of particular value? And maybe can I direct that one at Jen?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. There's so much that members can do to help support and build support for our organisation. So there are the obvious ones like donating, buying things in the shop, buying gift memberships, for example, and helping to build so that we can really accelerate the work that we're doing. But then there are other things you can do just by following us on social, amplifying our key messages, sharing why you're a supporter, getting involved with our petitions and our campaigns, and getting behind those and supporting them. There are other things you can do, such as volunteering opportunities. So we've got ones where that you can join to become a spokesperson for the organisation, where you get the training and you can talk and advocate for the things that we're all really passionate about, to help share that with communities. You can find more information about that on our website, and just by following us on email, sign up to our email on our website, send you all the latest opportunities. There's so many ways you can get involved and support, and no matter how much time you've got or how little you can do, anything you're doing will help to make a difference. I think Steph wants to come in on this as well.
Go, Steph. You're on mute, Steph, I think.
Sorry.
There you are.
So sorry. So the only thing I want to add to what Jen said is it really works if you engage, right? What people do simply by sharing or by sharing things online or by inviting people to events or talking about it, really, I mean, it's astonishing how much it works. However much you think it works, multiply it by 10, because that's the effect it has. So everything that Jen has just said, really, really believe that it makes a huge difference and makes a big impact.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next question, because they are pouring in and time is running out. I've got two questions here, so I'm going to give somebody a heads up, and I'm going to ask the first. The first question is, how can we get other companies involved in this effort? We want corporates to be involved, and I'd like somebody to put their hand up for that answer. Maybe one of the trustees, or anybody can take it if they like, but that's the question coming in a second. But another important question, and by the way, there are no stupid questions. Every question is relevant. How can we as an organization, or how do we as an organization get the kids involved? They're the generation that will benefit from our work. So what are we doing to get them involved? Who's going to take that?
I can take that one again.
Go, Jen.
So there's lots we're doing with school children at the moment. There's the Ocean Friendly Schools, where we've been engaging with thousands of children at an early age to get them involved and connected with the ocean and realising those key issues. There's also the Scottish Education Roadshow, which has been a huge success in engaging with school children, to the point that we're looking to amplify that and look to run an Ocean Roadshow in other areas across the UK as well. And then at a sort of an older age, so with our Youth Ocean Network and teenagers, we're really building that and helping to develop those leaders for tomorrow with the skills that they need. And they're so passionate and bringing such great ideas and making a difference. For example, Laura, who was doing the campaigning on vapes, this network is really powerful. So we're doing lots to engage with school children, and we're looking to amplify that even further in future.
Fantastic, thank you. Will or Joyce, how do we, or anybody, how do we engage corporates? That was the other question that came in. What's our message to corporates, and how do we make sure that they're doing what they need, not only to support an organization, but they need to change their operations, don't they? Who'd like to come in on that question?
I can comment from corporates in the financial sector that we are now working more and more with. I mean, one of the things that's happening in the financial sector is the growth of sustainable investment. But what's not happening is that investors are not looking when they're trying to assess climate risk and the whole issue of climate as it pertains to investment portfolios. All the discussion and focus is on terrestrial solutions and protecting terrestrial nature, whether it be rainforests or looking at soil use. So one of the things we're trying to do is raise the visibility in the finance sector that the oceans are a critical part of tackling the whole climate issue. And one particular thing I think it's worth sharing with the members this evening is what we're doing in terms of trying to address the issue of microfibers getting into the marine environment. So we are working to coordinate over 30 big institutional investors. Some of the UK's biggest pension schemes are supporting us on this, and we have something like just over £6 trillion of assets backing or ask to engage with companies who are manufacturing washing machines and get them to put filters into the design of their machines. There is a real support growing for us to do this. Now, with the manufacturers, it's easy to ignore NGOs and other stakeholders. They can't ignore their owners. So we are getting this group that's working with us, who are shareholders in the companies who manufacture these machines. That voice can't be ignored, and we're putting some pressure on them to think about them as part of the solution to dealing with microfiber pollution.
Fantastic, thank you. Anybody like to supplement that question? If not, I can come back to it a little later. I've got another great one here, which is about collaboration. Now, clearly, MCS is the most reputable of all marine conservation organizations out there, but there are many others, not only looking after the oceans, but also looking after the land and birds and bees and everything else, also people, because of course, all conservation organizations do what they do to serve people as much as they do planet. And the question, which I've just lost, and I'm going to repeat it here, how much collaboration with other wildlife groups will be orchestrate for a more joined up voice to share resources or to share impact and to raise the volume? Who can take that question for us?
Happy to, Mark, or at least I'll start you off. I think you should recognise the volume of membership groups we're involved in across the country. But to give you a flavour, Scotland, we're working with WWF, the Oyster Project is a partnership with them. Wales, we're working with the RSPB about species restoration, nature positive marine planning. We're working on sustainable fishing. Will just mentioned the Ocean Threads work. We're working with a new partner, the WI, a non-environmental charity, which is brilliant. We're working with the Wildlife Trust in partnership through our projects like Well Coast Sussex. And I think the key message is that we need to work together to add value and make sure that we're not competing for the same area. The ocean needs all of our support. Many of you may well be members of other charities. So let's all work together to make sure we can have this fantastic healthy seas. And actions we've done recently include things like the March with Packham. So I could go on for hours, but there are lots of opportunities. We're working together. And coming back to the politics, it's about that joint messaging to whichever government we get in the near future.
Amazing. Thank you. Unless, are there any other thoughts on that from the panel? I think that was pretty comprehensive, but if not, I know I want to bring Kate in on this. Kate just recently joined the organization as looking after many of our corporate partnerships and has run many great corporate partnerships in the past. And so I think it's important we hear your voice at this time. Kate, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. So just to say, this is week one for me. So so I may have a slightly different answer this time next year, but certainly it feels like there is huge potential to be working with corporate partners in a much more kind of transformational way, really, to be looking at how we work with partners to really think about their practices and how what they're doing and how they're working is impacting the ocean and how we can support them to make changes that really benefit the marine environment. But in doing so, of course, we hope that will lead to some funding to support our work. But there's so many ways that we can engage with companies around volunteering, around communication messaging with their customers and with their business partners and so on. So it's an area that that I know we get some fantastic support already from some really wonderful corporate support, but certainly something that we would love to grow. So kind of back to kind of Jen's kind of answer previously about how members can support, you know, if you work for an organisation where you think actually that the business I work for could really do something good here with the Marine Conservation Society, then please do get in touch, because we'd love to follow that up.
Amazing. And I'll add, actually, there's a point coming from the team that partnerships with corporates are important, but partnerships with other governments and other NGOs for our overseas territories are also just as critical. There's plenty of work that we're doing around the UK, but partnerships, I think, is, Sandy, you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's fundamental to what we all do in the NGO world, both with corporates, with citizen groups, with governments, with other NGOs. Maybe you can just add something to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gareth has already said it. We work with so many partners and partnerships. We're across Wales and Scotland and England. We're part of the sort of umbrella groups, which are called the Wildlife and Countryside, or links in various forms and versions. We're part of something called Impact 2024, which is with other conservation and wildlife and energy charities. We work in collaboration with others in the Caribbean, in the UK overseas territories in the Caribbean. We're part of Great Blue Ocean, which is 6 major organizations lobbying for our UK overseas territories to have a really brilliant and well-funded blue belt. We're working with the people there. There's so many, so I think
Okay.
I think we've done enough now.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. We've got time for a couple more questions. The first one here really is about protected areas. Do we believe that marine reserves off the coast of England, and I'll extend that to the other devolved nations, are being given the correct legal standards? Or would you like to see anything tougher? Who's going to take that one?
Well, I'll jump in there if everyone's happy. I think the honest answer is many of them have a great deal of legal protection. What's lacking is the action on management. We need to see that happen. We're seeing it in a number of cases, but not enough, not rapidly enough. Bear in mind that some of these sites were designated back in 2000. They've been around a long time. They really need to start delivering for our marine habitats. We've got a big ask around 30 by 30, which simply means 30% of our seas as a minimum, not as a target, need to be within marine protected areas. But that alone will not be enough. We are also asking for 10% of our seas, in addition to the 30, being what we would like to see is the most strictly protected sites, essentially making them, absent of any damaging activity. That adds up to a lot, but we also need to think about activities outside our seas as well. So how do we manage the other activities in a way that they have the least damage and, where possible, nature positive? There's a lot to do on this, and it isn't just the Westminster government. There's an awful lot to do across all the nations in the UK. We're at different levels and at different paces. We're pushing hard on this. There's a long way to go.
Fantastic. Now, I'm looking at the time now. We probably need to move on, but just a couple of things. I've noticed that nobody answered any financial questions, which means that Susan did an amazing job of presenting. That's what I find in these financial moments. No questions equals excellent presentation and performance. So well done, Susan. Also, there were a couple of questions about the election that's coming up. I think we do need to note that. They do need a slightly more involved answers because government matters, and we want to make sure that we give you the full and proper answers. So we will give you those answers either in the chat or after the session. So your questions will get answered if you didn't manage to have them answered tonight. Listen, there is a chance for questions during the voting procedure later on about the resolutions that we will be passing or asking you to comment on and vote on. But for now, that is it for our Q&A. Thank you very much for everybody for their questions. Let's have a round of emojis. Is that a new phrase that we can now use? A round of emojis to say thank you for the panelists. And they can now step off all of course, except for Amanda. Thank you very much all. See you later. Amanda, I can now happily hand over to you for the formal part of the evening. I'll stay on screen, but I'll just mute.
Thank you very much, Mark. And we really do appreciate you all joining us this evening. Tonight for the AGM business part, we're going to be voting on 6 proposals. And we're also going to give you the opportunity, as Mark's just mentioned, to raise any questions that you've got in relation to those votes. So once again, please do feel free to submit questions that relate to the voting through the Q&A function. So all members should have received notice of the AGM and been sent an agenda, and the agenda has been put on our website. I can let everybody know that a quorum is 25 members, and we are indeed most certainly quorate. Anyone who is a member is eligible to participate and to vote during this session. And I'm now going to go through and announce the 6 proposals one by one. And so you'll have an opportunity to ask questions, plus also for each vote, I'm going to make a request, please, if somebody would be willing to put into the Q&A their name so that we can formally have a proposer and a seconder for each of the votes that would go into the formal minutes. That would be really appreciated. Now, when it comes to the voting, we're going to ask you to use the poll function, which you should be able to see at the bottom of the screen in order to submit your vote. And you'll be given a choice of yes, no, or abstain. And there'll be a slight delay while the votes are counted, but hopefully it worked well last year and we'll be able to announce the results quickly. If you have already cast your vote, then please, by proxy, then please don't vote again. And I can let you know that we've in advance received 14 proxy votes, which I will then carry as the chair. So without more ado, we come to our first item, which is actually the approval of the minutes of last year's meeting, which was our 31st annual general meeting as a company, held on the 17th of November. Mark, are there any questions that anybody has got in relation to the minutes of the last meeting? And while people are perhaps considering if they've got any questions, can I also request if we could have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes of the last meeting?
No questions as yet, but Kat Stepp has volunteered to propose for any of the proposals. So I suggest we take up her offer on this first proposal.
Thank you so much. And would it be possible to have a volunteer seconder, please? Popping their name in the chat.
We did have a question from somebody saying that they can't see the voting button. I just want to make sure that we have from the team acknowledgement that the voting button is there. Let's just give it a couple of seconds as questions. We've not launched the poll function.
Sorry, it's going to appear. Okay, so do we now? Can I just confirm that we have a seconder? Because I apologise, it's probably me. I think it's in the Q&A that you'll have to pop in the proposer and seconder. Okay, the vote is now open on the minutes of the last meeting. So if you would like to vote, please, and then we will count. The vote is carried. Lovely. So we now come to the next item, which is to approve the financial statements for the year ended the 31st of March 2023 and the reports of the trustees and the auditors. And once again, it would be lovely if we could have a proposer and a seconder, and if you could put your names in the Q&A, that would be really appreciated. And in the meantime, are there any questions in relation to the financial statements for last year?
We have no questions as yet. and I'm going to encourage as many of you as possible to propose yourselves as proposer or seconder. We need those coming in. I think we've had a seconder coming in.
Lovely. Can I just clarify that anyone who's a member is eligible to be a proposer or seconder? No special status required beyond being a special member. Do we have a seconder, Mark? Lovely. Okay, so in which case you're now invited to vote on the financial statements. Lovely. And again, the vote is carried. Thank you very much. So we now come to our third item, which is to appoint Safri Jet Limited as the auditors of the company until the next AGM at a fee to be agreed with the Board of Trustees. And I'm delighted to say that Michael Strong, who is going to be able to join us to say hello from our new auditors. So I don't know whether you'd just like to say one or two words, Michael, to say hello to everybody.
Amanda, thanks so much. Yes, hello to everybody. Just to say that this is our first year of auditing the Marine Conservation Society. My name is Mike Strong. I'm a partner in the Bristol office of Safri's, and I'm a part of the firm's audit leadership team. We're a mid-sized audit firm. I have the absolute pleasure of working with a number of charities, and I'm also a trustee myself outside of my day job of doing audits. And in addition to what I do as an auditor, I'm also a part of our firm's, the Safri's responsible business strategy group. I just want to say, just to endorse my comments from earlier on, from what was said about the level of passion and engagement that comes across earlier on in the meeting. That's certainly what I've seen as an auditor in terms of engagement with the team. We've been helped with getting under the skin of understanding the organisation. The finance team has been brilliant in engaging with us and providing us with lots of information so that we can carry out our work as auditors. We carry out an audit as an independent set of eyes. As you will have seen in the accounts, there's our report that just confirms the work that we've done in looking at the accounts to confirm that they give a true and fair view. We were able to carry out our work. So really just a big thank you. And one final point, one person made a comment and a question about how to engage with the corporate community. So I can also add my bit as an outsider here, as a member of the corporate community. There's an increasing push that I see around organisations, and not just charities, but also commercial organisations, for driving a responsible business agenda. And businesses need to be seen to be responsible. So for anybody who wants to play a part, there is an opportunity in whatever walk of life you are, in whatever business you work, to try to influence the responsible business agenda towards mitigating environmental impact.
Thank you so much, Mark. And the other thing I just want to make sure that all members are aware of is that we did actually undertake a very rigorous tender process, and with clear environmental considerations as well. And so it was on the back of that the board is proposing that we use Safri's. So
I'd like, if I may, Amanda, to just invite Susan to come in, just to add weight to what you've just said in that process. Is that okay, Susan? Are you ready?
Yes, of course. I mean, as Amanda said, first of all, it's important that we revisit our audit arrangements periodically. And so it was time for us to go back and to the market and to look at the service that we were getting. So we did a full tender. We had quite a range of organisations who bid, and as Amanda says, we assess those against the quality of the bid, the environmental perspective, and of course on cost. And Safri came out top of those, and yeah, we were delighted to receive a really quality bid from Safri.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. So is anybody willing to be a proposer and a seconder for this? I think we have quite a lot of volunteers now in the Q&A, so thank you very much. So are there any questions in relation to the appointment of our auditors?
I think there's been one, and you've answered it very well.
Lovely. Okay, in which case we are ready to open the vote. Thank
Susan
you.
and
And
Michael.
yet again, the vote is carried. So thank you very much. And Safri Limited are appointed as our auditors. Thank you very much for joining us, Michael.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
We now come to the fourth and fifth item, which is in relation to changes to the board. And we have a couple of new members who we are inviting to the board who've actually been co-opted as board members over the previous year. So they now have a year's experience of contributing to the work of the board. And the first is Polly Burns, who unfortunately isn't able to be with us this evening because she's actually in Seattle hosting a fishing event. But I'm very, very comfortable, as I'm sure is the whole board, in proposing that we invite Polly to be elected as a trustee of the board. I don't know if there are any questions in relation to Polly's appointment. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Lovely.
And thumbs up, no questions.
Proposers and seconders. So on that basis, I would like to open the poll. Again, the vote is carried. So welcome in your new capacity as an elected trustee, Polly. So we now turn to Rebecca Rodney, who we would also like to propose as a member of the Board of Trustees. Again, Rebecca has had a year's experience as a co-opted trustee, and I believe Rebecca is with us this evening and able to join us. Hi, Rebecca. So we would be delighted if you could just say a couple of sentences to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Amanda. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Rodney. By day, I'm a Senior Vice President at HSBC's Innovation Bank, providing debt to high-growth technology businesses. I'm a foodie, a sustainable one, and also a qualified scuba diver.
Thank you very much. Short and sweet, and welcome. So I would like to see, are there any questions that anybody would like to ask of Rebecca? If not, the vote is open and we propose Rebecca joins the board. Once again, the vote is carried. Lovely, welcome. And it's just so lovely on the Board of Trustees that we have such dynamic young trustees, and that it's not just a board of people who are, like me, getting on a little bit. So thank you very much. So I think I now have to hand over for the final item on the agenda, Mark. So I will just dip out.
Thank you, Amanda. Fantastic. Yes, the final item on the agenda is to re-elect Amanda as chair. So following an initial term of 3 years, the resolution is to re-elect Amanda Nobbs as trustee and chair of the board for a second term. And are there any questions before we go to the vote? Giving you a couple of seconds. No questions as yet. So thank you for that. We can now launch the poll. And the vote is carried. Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Now I'm going to hand back over to Amanda.
Yes, because I would like to just jump back in again and to, well, partly thank you for the privilege of electing me again for another term as chair of the trustees. But I just want to take the opportunity to thank my fellow trustees. It is just amazing working with such a talented and committed group of trustees, the collective wisdom and the passion for the marine environment. And I'm just really excited for what we can achieve over the next 3 years. So thank you to all fellow trustees. And now I'd like to hand over to you again, Mark. Thank you. Sorry, Mark, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
so sorry. I would muted myself. How careless. Thank you for everybody, to everybody for proposing and seconding, really important part of the process. So thank you for that, and to Amanda. There was a question of carbon footprint that I did want to address. Forgive me. It is very important that we answer this question in full. We did mention that Polly was over in the US on a business trip, not on MCS business, just so you know. But the organization does take this very seriously and has got a broader plan. So we will be able to respond to that question after the event. Clearly, we are not a one-function organization. Marine is important, but we cannot exclude all other environmental issues that matter clearly to everybody. So that is that section done. We are now moving on to another fun bit of content. I've got something. I'm going to invite Katie to join me on the screen now. Katie McFarlane, who is our Youth Engagement Officer, and she's going to give us a fabulous update on the Youth Ocean Network that's been recently set up. Katie, over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Right, let me just share my screen and double check you can all see it okay. Yep. Okay, so thanks very much, Mark. As I said, it's lovely to be here tonight to speak to you all. If you haven't had the chance to meet me in person or online, my name is Katie McFarlane and I am the Youth Engagement Officer with MCS. So I'm going to just go through a bit of our youth engagement programme, what we've been doing over the last couple of years, and our amazing Youth Ocean Network. But just first of all, to put it into a bit of context, I'm part of the Learning and Community Engagement Department. So someone asked earlier on in the chat what we're doing with children and young people. Have a look at our website. We have loads and loads of offerings for all ages. But as Amanda mentioned earlier on, the Education Department started in 2009 and it was a team of 1, grew to a team of 2 a few years later, and fast forward to 2023 and it's a team of 8 and growing. So it's a really amazing bunch of people across the whole of the UK, and we do encourage you to get in touch with us and ask any questions. Now, as I said, I am Youth Engagement Officer. So simply put, my colleague Stephen, the learning officer, is a bit more formal, working with schools, and I'm working in a more informal way with young people that are 5 to 25 across the whole of the UK. So quite a big job. Now, a large part of my job is strategic. It is working from home. It is communicating and collaborating with all sorts of different organisations. But I do get out and about sometimes to have fun with young people. And the purpose of my role, it started 2 years ago, was basically, I think Marine Conservation Society had recognised that they needed to bring young voices even further into the organisation. We've always offered this more formal kind of school primary age offering, but we wanted to engage a wee bit more with all the young people around about the UK. Now, some of these images you can see, you'll see me out and about. I do get out and about sometimes, and there's a short little video here as well to show you that, for example, I was at a World Oceans Day for Schools event in Bristol at the Wave, where 100 young people came together to learn how to surf, but also learn a bit about the Marine Conservation Society. Now, part of the development of the youth engagement programme it was to develop the Youth Ocean Network. So this is a network of youth, what we call youth consultants that are between 13 and 25 years old. Because it's mostly virtual, we decided that that was the best age just to start with. But I do plan to do more with 12 and under as well as the years go on. It went live in March 2022, so a year and a half ago. In the first month, we had over 200 people show interest from Fiji to Sweden to America and all over, but we were obviously focused on the UK and our overseas territories. Overall, obviously, the aim in the long run is that this is going to be youth-led. I am there as a facilitator, but we want young people to really get involved in our work and use their voice. Now, fast forward to today, this is a rough map to show you where our members of the Youth Ocean Network are across the UK. So as of today, we have over 150 members. Obviously, some are more active than others. Everyone's busy at school and college and university. So everyone can dip in and out as much as they can. The bare minimum is we have a Zoom call once a month, which is about an hour, and we have loads of our staff coming on and to get involved and help teach the young people. Now, way back when I first started the Youth Ocean Network, I asked, what are you most interested in doing? So as you can see here, there's lots and lots of different reasons for the young people to join, but some of the main ones were learning more about marine conservation, getting involved and getting more opportunities to work with us, and using their voice to help protect the planet. Now, as I mentioned, we've had over 20 amazing Marine Conservation Society staff come on, lead workshops, give presentations. But while we want to learn from the young people, more importantly, we want them to learn from us as well, and to really give their views and their opinions. We've had over 24 virtual calls in the last year and a half and had over 400 attendees. So covered all sorts of topics, from beach watch to chemical pollution, volunteering, policy, advocacy, everything you can imagine. Now, while we're all used to the virtual world now, and it is amazing, I can communicate with these young people from the north of Scotland to the south of England, I asked the Youth Ocean Network if they would like to have the opportunity to meet up in real life this year, and 91% said yes. And I think we all agree that it is so much more fun when you can actually get together in person. So luckily we had some funding available to trial these 3 free youth events, and I chose to have one in Edinburgh, Bristol and Bangor. So we've covered England, Scotland and Wales. And the aims were to increase opportunity for young people, so 25 years and under, to engage in our work and take positive action for our ocean, and also welcome new young people into our community, because we want everyone to be involved. I'm just going to go through a few of them quickly. So the first one was in Bristol in June, a really cool youth venue called The Station. And I had 4 of the Youth Ocean Network actually help organise and run the event, which was a fantastic opportunity for them. We had all sorts of talks and workshops. That the main purpose really is interaction and getting everyone chatting. And then we had a very special guest of Doug Allen as one of our ocean ambassadors, who we'll hear from later, who gave an amazing talk. So I think it's important to note at the end of this night that the 4 Youth Ocean Network members hosted a Q&A and a panel session with Doug. So what an amazing opportunity for them. It was a great evening and lots of fun had. Now, the second event I hosted was in the National Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh, where I used to work, so I know it well. And it was another fun-filled full-day event. I had loads of presenters, activities, workshops, fun around the museum. We collaborated really well with the National Museum of Scotland to make sure we're both utilising our skills and giving everyone an opportunity to learn. And the presenter on the left there is actually Caitlin, who's one of our Youth Ocean Network. She presented about being a young person in marine conservation today. Final event we hosted in September in Bangor was actually at a Bangor University building that was focusing on arts and innovation. And we had all sorts of young people coming together again to not only do workshops, mingle, have fun, socialise, but we also managed to do a beach clean at the end of that as well. This area of Bangor, which we cleaned, had never been registered on our Beach Watch programme. So it was really cool to do that. But overall, it was a perfect example of how important it is to give these opportunities. So many young people came together, so many new young people, and it also gave a lot of the Youth Ocean Network the chance to meet in real life, which is nice after you've been speaking on Zoom for a year. I think it allowed people to get together to celebrate the ocean, make new friends. But I think you'll hopefully all agree that after the few years we've all had, but particularly the younger generation, it was so great to offer these in-person experiences. Just a little bit of feedback. 100% of respondents so far have given 5 stars to all our presentations and workshops. 100% said they left feeling like they know about what more about what the Marine Conservation Society does and how to support it. And 100% have said we need more events like this for young people. 100% have also said they would attend another one. So that's always good to hear. And on a selfish note, it's great to get out and about and actually talk to all the young people that I work with. Final little thing I'm just going to mention is obviously our Youth Ocean Network have been busy behind the scenes. As Jen mentioned earlier on, that they're getting so involved in every area of our work, and I'm trying to provide them with those opportunities. But what else have they been doing? They've been coming along to beach cleans. They've been running Source to Seas in central London. They've been organising their own beach events through universities and schools. The bottom left photo there is actually 3 of our Youth Ocean Network or younger members in the middle, who were at the RSPB Nature of Scotland Awards because they were nominated for their work as part of the Youth Task Force for Sea Scotland, which is a conference in Scotland every year. And yeah, they've been running loads of their own campaigns, presenting on forums, and most importantly, getting the chance to meet other like-minded young people. And just a little quote at the top there that says, from one of the young people that says they've never met anyone that has as much interest in conservation as the other people that they've met on the Youth Ocean Network. The final thing I'm just going to bring up is I work with a certain age range, which is 5 to 25, but that's just the start of it. You know, we have such a diverse generation in front of us and in the future, and it's really important to be as inclusive as possible and bring all people in. So we're not asking someone to represent all young people. We're asking them for their diversity of perspective and experience, which is really important to have. So a final thank you just to everyone involved, all the young people, all the funders and supporters. You guys as members are all contributing to this, and having the opportunity to run in-person youth events has been invaluable to both the Marine Conservation Society and the young people. And here's to the next 40 years. So you've heard enough from me now. So now we're going to go over to a short video and hear from some of the Youth Ocean Network themselves.
I volunteer with the Youth Ocean Network in order to gain understanding and knowledge about how policymaking truly impacts our ocean and inevitably our future.
As an international student studying marine science here in the UK, I wanted to get involved and join forces with the local community to protect the environment that I came here to study.
Because ever since I can remember, I've loved the ocean and all the life within it.
Because I want to learn more about ocean conservation and I love our sea life.
Because I have a real passion for nature. And I want to know that I'm doing my bit to ensure its future survival on our planet.
Because I don't want to just spend my free time enjoying our beautiful oceans, but I want to spend some of my time helping to protect them and campaigning for change.
I want to see our marine environments be better looked after and to see the effects of plastic pollution on marine mammals and on humans be reduced.
All connected to the ocean in so many different ways, and I really believe we need to respect the ocean and use it more sustainably.
It's truly inspiring to work alongside so many young people and make waves together to better protect our ocean.
My favourite part has got to be the communal aspect. We are a bunch of young people all working together to ensure the survival of nature into the future.
I love that the Marine Conservation Society recognises that the young people of today are the change makers of tomorrow. Young people don't have to think about limitations, and so they're often so much more creative. And the MCS is one of the few charities that lets young people explore this within the wonderful world of marine conservation. So it's actually a place where change can happen.
I volunteer with the Youth Ocean Network to change the future.
Marine Conservation Society, keep up the great work. Your efforts are much needed and are truly appreciated by both people and the sea. Thank you.
Amazing. What more need be said? That is our future talking. And to know that MCS is engaging with such brains, such passion, such hearts is wonderful to see. So well done, Katie. You're amazing. You clearly are fabulous at engaging people, and to engage so many people who are our future. And knowing the blue economy is coming up, the future of their careers can be entirely in the sea. It's going to be an amazing future for them all if we allow them to do it. And I think the Marine Conservation Society clearly does that. So congratulations, really fantastic stuff. So we now move on to the next bit of our evening that many of you have been looking forward to, which are celebrations and congratulations. The awards. Now, every year we take this opportunity to say thank you. We take this opportunity to recognizing amazing community members and supporters that we have and that the seas have all over the country. These fabulous people throw themselves wholeheartedly at a range of activities and share their passions through fundraising, cleaning, influencing, school projects, runs, campaigns, workshops, and so much more that they do. It's really fabulous to see so many people involved. And this really is about showcasing the creativity and dedication that we rely on. I'm delighted to be able to introduce the winners of this year's awards. If you'd like more information, you'll be able to get it on our website after this event. So I'm going to make the introductions, announce them, and there'll be a short video of each. So get those emoji fingers ready. So first off, we are going with Fundraiser of the Year. And this award goes to Isabel Kearney. Now, Isabel ran the Great Bristol Half Marathon in September last year, raising just under £500. Isabel chose to support MCS following a fabulous holiday she had in Cornwall. Fabulous place, as we all know, watching her children splashing in the sea, exploring the rock pools, and watching compass, jellyfish, and dolphins, of all things. This led Isabel to take action to protect the seas so her own children can continue enjoying them into their adulthood. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your support, Isabel. Let's see the video.
Thank you so much for this Fundraiser of the Year award. Last year I ran the Bristol Half Marathon in aid of the Marine Conservation Society, mainly inspired by my family's love of the sea. It was the longest I'd ever run, and it was hard work, but knowing I was doing it for a good cause really kept me going. Thanks again.
Congratulations, that's just some fabulous stuff. Okay, on to the next one. We have now this year's Young Fundraiser of the Year, and I'm pleased to announce that is Ethan Smollen. He celebrated his bar mitzvah in January by collecting 13 bags of litter from London's waterways. And I live in London. I see how dirty they are and how needed this is. So that's fantastic work, Ethan. But he's collected one for each year of his life. And he raised over £1,500. Quite simply, Ethan says that he loves the sea and all marine life in it, and clearly the rivers that feed those seas. And he wants to live and work for the rest of his life anything he can do to help save them and the habitats they live in. Thank you and congratulations to Ethan. Let's have a look at the video.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I've collected 13 bags of rubbish from London's waterways to stop plastic from getting into the ocean, because I am passionate about the sea creatures living in our oceans. I am so happy to become Young Fundraiser of the Year. Thank you.
Amazing. Great video. I mean, to see somebody so youthful, getting so determined, it's just fabulous. Okay, now we move from Young Fundraiser of the Year to Young Ocean Optimist of the Year, which celebrates young people who are working to protect, recover, and celebrate our oceans, of course. We really want younger people, as we've heard from Ethan, to have their voices heard. And we know that they have incredible force, passion for the oceans, and their concern for our planet is growing. We're proud to be working alongside and celebrating some of the young people that make waves in this community. So I'm thrilled to announce that in the under 12 category for the Young Ocean Optimist of the Year award is Orkney Reid. Since meeting Orkney last year, our team have been continually amazed by his enthusiasm, protecting the ocean that he does all the time. He runs rock pool safaris, which is a brilliant idea, locally and online in the Isles of Scilly with the Wildlife Trust, educating people about the wonderful marine life found here and all around the UK. This September, he ran 55 kilometres around 5 Scilly Isles, raising £4,000 for the Marine Conservation Society and the Wildlife Trust, and is already planning his next challenge. It's amazing work. It's dedicated. It's wonderful. Congratulations and thank you to Orkney. We're looking forward to seeing what you do next. Let's play the video.
Hello, my name's Orkney. Thank you so much for my reward. I'm really proud. This year I've done a lot. I've done beach cleans. I've done wildlife takeovers. I wrote a blog and I did my one, which is 5 islands in 5 days, total 55 kilometres. So I just want to say thank you so much. It's been lovely getting this trophy.
Isn't he amazing? That's fabulous. You've got to love him. It's just wonderful, wonderful stuff. Wonderful. Okay, from Orkney, we now move on to the 13 to 25 age category of young ocean optimist. And this year, pleased to announce that it's Iris Chick. Now, Iris has been a dedicated member of our Youth Ocean Network since it began last year. And after meeting our chemicals expert, Dr. Francesca Bevan, during a Youth Ocean Network call last year, Iris was inspired to set up her own campaign to fight chemical pollution in the UK, this new thing that is becoming such an important issue. Iris has been involved in a number of workshops and events across the UK, or England, I should say, including helping to host our Voice of the Ocean youth event in Bristol this summer just gone. The event involved workshops for 40 young people and delivered a Q&A panel with our ocean ambassador, Doug Allen. Just fabulous work again. Iris, congratulations for your incredible ocean optimism. Roll the video.
Hello, my name's Iris and I've won the Young Ocean Optimist of the Year Award 2023. Firstly, I'd like to thank whoever nominated me for the award. It was such an awesome surprise. When you're a part of trying to create change, it often feels like you're hitting your head against a wall. You're not getting anywhere and no one really cares. So to receive this award for my work, totally out of the blue, means so much. It means that someone recognised my work and thinks it's important. In the last year or so, I ran a campaign against chemical pollution called We the Crowd, to raise awareness of the chemicals harming us and the environment. It was a campaign that brought people together to take personal responsibility and to tell those in power why they want a toxic-free future. I love volunteering with the Youth Ocean Network, and through that I've even had the opportunity to do a panel interview with Doug Allen. In the next year, I've got even more exciting adventures up, so I've got lots of planning to do. Thanks again to everyone for all their support. Bye.
Amazing again. These kids are just fantastic, and they're installing optimism into our heads every day. So it's just wonderful to hear. Congratulations. Now, we're finally on to our Outstanding Achievement Award. Now, considering everybody tonight is outstanding, I think we should rebrand this to Super Outstanding Award. But this particularly goes to people that have, over a prolonged period of time, achieved change and impact at scale. They've consistently gone above and beyond. And this year's winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award is Ken Orr. Ken and his group, the Grassroots Conversation Group in Northern Ireland, have been collecting beach watch data for the past, wait for it, 29 years. 29 years. And over that time, they've engaged with nearly 300 volunteers, collected 330 odd bags of litter weighing over 1,700 kilograms. And because of that, that's provided vital data to the Marine Conservation Society's scientific project to understand what is in our oceans. If we have the data, we can better understand what's going in and then reduce ultimately through engagement with stakeholders, government and business and community to reduce the number of harmful plastics and other items that end up on our beach. And it's that the amount of work that he and his group have done, the amount of years that they've done it over deserves, I think, an outstanding award. Ken, it's a true inspiration. Thank you so much. And you are a worthy winner of our Marine Conservation Society's Outstanding Achievement Award. Let's roll the video.
Hello, I'm Ken Orr, volunteer and organiser with Grassroots Conservation Group in Northern Ireland. For the past 29 years, our group has taken part in the Great British Beach Clean without missing a year, and we're delighted to receive this award from the Marine Conservation Society. Grassroots is a general nature conservation group We focus mainly on terrestrial habitat management, tree planting and so on, but we really look forward to our annual trip to the seaside. For more than 10 years, we've been going to a spectacular stretch of County Down coastline called Ballyhorn and Strand, which you can see in the photographs and video. We like to think we've made a difference to the state of the beach, while also contributing data for MCS campaigns. It's very rewarding to be part of such an important scientific study with practical outcomes.
Amazing, Ken. Thank you again. Really valuable stuff and inspiration. And it just goes to show we've been celebrating people of all ages, all across the extended country that is the UK. So it's fantastic. And a round of emojis, if we may, now to all our winners and everybody else who has taken part, everybody who was just pipped at the post. Let's get those emojis going. That looks fantastic. Look at that. That's just my seahorse is lit up with emojis. That just looked beautiful. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much. Okay, we are dead on time, if not a minute ahead. And we've now got a guest speaker who sent us a pre-recorded video. Now, this pre-recorded video has been sent in today, and it's from our ocean ambassador, Doug Allen. Doug will share with us how he got into conservation, how he was inspired early on in his career, and insights into what that career has been as a wildlife cameraman, and why he's a long-term supporter of the Marine Conservation Society and all we do. So let's roll this last video.
Good evening. I'm Doug Allen. First of all, thanks for the chance to talk to you all. I'm proud to be involved with the MCS, proud of its principles and its people, and it's an honour to be one of the Ocean Ambassadors. Yes, it's true that I'm a long-time supporter of the MCS. I joined in 1984. And while I was thinking of what to say tonight, someone suggested I'd talk a bit about how I became a wildlife camera person, an advocate of marine conservation. A sort of look at what came first, the chicken or the egg. Fair enough, I thought, but I did wonder, is there a danger when a dinosaur speaks out? Do they still have anything relevant to say? But then I thought, no, better to look at myself, not so much as a dinosaur, but maybe a coelacanth. Coelacanth would be better. I'm still hanging in there, long-term survivor who thinks they can still contribute, I hope. In terms of how I came to become a wildlife underwater camera person, I have to say I wasn't a wee boy who had that vision early on. In fact, when I'm asked about my career path, I think it's better to describe it as a path that careered from one thing to another. I bolted one skill on top of another, added qualifications, experience, until it finally all came together when I met David Attenborough in the Antarctic in 1981. But the first passion was, yes, underwater, and all that's followed has had underwater at its core, fired up first by Cousteau's book, The Silent World, and snorkeling while on holiday in the 60s. You know, those 60s were an incredible decade for explorations. We were out to the moon, deep into the sea. I got increasingly into diving. I realised it was exciting, but when you did it well, it also had an elegance. I realised early on that you had to work with whatever nature was chucking at you, not fight against it. You had to go with the flow, collaborate with the sea, feel a part of it, be at home in the swell and the poor visibility, the fact that you were weightless. You know, I firmly believe now that if you can dive in the UK, you can dive anywhere in the world. At the same time, ecology was opening up as a real science. It's hard to explain, but the catch-all term biology had the reputation of being a Cinderella science, more descriptive than numerical. But then, well, maybe it was that famous shot of the Earth from the moon, the so-called blue marble image, but we became ever more aware of the planet as being a fragile, special place. Humans were doing a lot of shit things to the world even then, dumping toxic rubbish, ruining air quality, acid rain was coming down, overfishing was rife. But then it was like the two opposite ends of the cultural spectrum grasped the problems. The scientists, on the one hand, with their data and their love of logical precision, and then the so-called hippies with their simplistic, basic, but most importantly, genuine and truthful attachment to and awareness of the natural world. You know, consumerism as a way of life, it developed through the 60s and into the 70s. And I think it was partly a backlash to that that brought on the big wave of conservation that also appeared through those decades. And that resulted in the big moves in the USA and Europe to control the nasties. You know, the peak of the whaling industry in terms of the number of whales caught was in 1968. And I remember really well the high profile that the Save the Whale campaign had, which resulted in the IWC moratorium in 1982. So I went to Stirling University in '69 to do a degree in biology with a bias towards marine ecology. And when I graduated in '73, the love of diving was even more deeply embedded. I'd already realised that I didn't want to be a proper scientist. I wanted to stay with the excitement of collecting the underwater data and leave the crunching of it to the pros. My big break was '76 with a chance to go to the Antarctic. And for the next 10 years, I worked for the British Antarctic Survey as a research support diver, a wee bit of a biologist, a base commander, and a sort of unofficial stills photographer. It was a great place to be. I just loved the Antarctic bubble. I relished the remoteness of the continent and a way of life down there that was way more cut off and frankly weird than it is now. I also developed my eye as a stills photographer, literally, because this was back in the days before any sort of electronic imaging. You went underneath the ice with your camera, you had 36 pictures, then you took that film back to the base darkroom, processed it, and then you could see what you had. Frankly, quite often it was rubbish, but it did, you know, you persisted and I improved. My exposure to wildlife filming was when I met David Attenborough in 1981. He came onto our base with a 3-person film crew for 2 days in January '81, and it fell to me to help them around the island, make sure they didn't fall in any crevasses. I would defy anyone to be with a crew like that and not be attracted by what they were doing. For me, the job of the camera person, Hugh Maynard, that just encapsulated all that I had loved doing up to then in my life. Diving, travelling, expeditions, photography. And it really did feel like they were a team. They were so pleasant, good company to be around. And they were making worthwhile programmes. So with specialist knowledge that I had of cold places and underwater, I muscled my way into the biz. My first filming assignment in Antarctica was in 1984. I first went to the Arctic in 1988, which in retrospect was the tail end of what I now see was the stable period, when the Inuit with their local traditional knowledge could confidently go onto the sea ice and know how it was going to behave. Where and when the cracks would form, where, for how long we could stay out on the ice before it became too dangerous. That intimate knowledge has been eroded by climate change since then. While I filmed across the world for the next 25, 30 years, not thinking much about my carbon footprint or that of the series I was working on, MCS was doing good things. They were taking up arms over the issues that in truth were actually really relevant. They were moving the environmental needle. We, the filmmakers, well, we were kind of just poking at it. But like Sea Search was set up by MCS in 1986. And with the info that the searches have collected, we've got some really important baselines for UK marine biodiversity. MCS realised early on the importance of what we now call citizen science, harnessing the enthusiasm of the public. And building on what they were doing, the Ocean Recovery Team, they collaborated with management authorities, local communities to establish a network of UK marine protected areas. And it was great in 1993, when the MCS beach cleans started. They brought the public in even greater numbers, so that now there's 20,000 plus volunteers who come out every year to clean the beaches. And when that campaign project won the BBC Country Files Magazine's award, let me get that straight, when the Great British Beach Clean project, when it won the BBC Country File Magazine's award for the conservation success of the year in 2018, that was real vindication of the value of its outreach and its success. MCS looked at species that are at risk. They won protection for basking sharks in 1988. Then they extended that awareness of fish, far wider 12 years ago, when they worked with Channel 4 on a series called The Big Fish Fight, which was led by the chef Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. That in turn led to the MCS production of the Good Fish Guide, which highlights the most and least sustainable fish. Again, MCS are proving that if you give people the information, they'll make the best choices. My own sense of programming values, well, that shifted about 10 years ago, and it took me away from the BBC blue chips. It took me over to the pond where I worked with Living Oceans Foundation and their Global Reef Initiative, looking at biodiversity on coral reefs. We made programs about these living ocean missions because they offered research opportunities to local scientists, and they had education programs that came out of it, which went to local schools, and they also offered the material to NGOs for their own purposes. Meanwhile, Blue Planet 2, yes, to its credit, it did hit the zeitgeist with its highlighting plastic. But I did wonder if Blue Planet 2 achieved that with only 12 minutes of a sequence out of a 6-part series. Imagine what might have happened if they'd had a more powerful, multifaceted approach. So the fact is that MCS has made so many positive contributions to addressing issues in UK waters and globally. MCS do stuff that make a difference. They confront the tortuous legalities of establishing marine reserves. They follow up the collection of the rubbish from the beach, which then gets analysed. They analyse the stuff to see over time what's the most prevalent and what's increasing. They get the hard data that they can take to the politicians, lobby them, and they basically hold power to account. I often think that those in the upper echelons of power and influence, people who are all too often all too full of their own importance, they would do well to reflect on the old philosophy that adults, we don't inherit the earth, we merely borrow it from our children. So offering young people the chance to be at the front of conservation efforts is absolutely crucial. And the MCS Youth Ocean Network recognises and then helps to nurture those key qualities that are needed for success. Resilience and ambition, inspiration and fairness, tenacity and optimism. But it also taps into what I call the storm years of youth. The strength and passion that young people have, the way they bring new focus to an issue, they do it in new ways with new power. Like this year's young ocean optimist, Orkney Reid. I mean, honestly, what a great venture, what a great addition he is to MCS, what a great component the Youth Ocean Network is. The oceanic priorities of business and politics mean that change all too often happens glacially slowly, while the glaciers themselves in the real world are changing faster than ever. MCS has always been ahead of the curve in terms of its outreach. It has an ability to punch way above its weight, and I'm proud to be part of this organisation that continues to lead from the front. You're a great team, and it's a huge privilege to have the chance to be part of you. Thank you.
Wow. What a way, what a voice, what a character, and what experience to articulate what I think we're all feeling. And I think the emojis, the hearts, the thumbs up, the rounds of applause, the round of emojis is demonstrating the effect that he has had. That's quite something. Tenacity and optimism will stay with me. That's what we need. And that's what everybody here has. Wow. Thank you to Doug Allen. Seriously, what a fantastic man. What a fantastic job. So listen, this it comes to me now to close the event. But before I do, I've got a couple of final thoughts and thank yous. Having listened to that, I'm going to shorten my final thoughts because frankly, he said it. But the thank yous are very important. What final thoughts I do have are about the 40 years we've gone through, the 7 we've got left to 2030, some ambitious goals. We've got to double down and we need your help. And we need the help of organizations, of communities, of politicians, we need your influence. There's a lot to do, more than we've ever had to achieve in such a short amount of time over the next few years. And this is, as a point was made, where collaboration and partnership and support comes in. There is an urgency that we need to respond to, and we do that knowing that this is about people as much as it is about the fish and the other wonderful creatures. This is seriously about people. This is an organization that wants people to thrive and the planet to thrive with it. So those are the inspirations for all of us to work even harder over the coming years. I want to thank Sandy and Amanda for opening with such inspiring preview and post view of what we've been doing. All of the champions and the ambassadors and the staff. Can we have another show of emojis, please, for the staff who haven't necessarily been named today, but are all crucial to all the work that is done and all the wonderful voices that you've heard, not least of all for making this event work tonight. The staff have been absolutely outstanding, and they continue to work in tough circumstances to get the results that we need them to get. That's just fabulous. Thank you to the staff. Katie, for inspiring the youth. Please keep on doing that, and we're all behind you and everybody else who is inspiring the youth around the UK in all nations. But lastly, it's to you, our members, and everybody else who is here, whose support we thrive upon. Our thanks extend to you, your families, your friends, all those who you have and will influence. And looking ahead, the fight for our healthy oceans must continue and will demand our creativity, our perseverance, our optimism, our tenacity as Doug said. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here tonight. And let's together weave a blue thread through all our thoughts and actions over the coming years and make this coming year and this coming few years the best years yet for our oceans and all of those who live within them. Thank you very much and good night.